A short story by Paul McCann entitled It's a Bag's Life. He had been depressed for a while and life had meant little to him. He never realised how he treated those around him. He lived a lonely life and only went out twice a week. Once to do his weekly shopping and once to church. Since his wife died, he cared for nothing and no one. With a dislike for people, he liked to get shopping done early as to avoid seeing people that he might know. His shopping list was always the same, and nothing ever changed. One windy autumn morning, he made his way to the supermarket, and as always parked his car beside the front door and went to get the shopping ordeal out of the way. With his goods inside the trolley, he made his way to the checkout, where the young lady waited with a friendly smile. "Good morning, sir, and how are you today?" He never replied. The shop assistant continued to be friendly and said, "Would you like a bag?" The question fell on deaf ears for a moment, and there was dead air. Then the unshaven and cranky customer stood there and looked at the checkout operator before saying, "Tell you what, why don't you deliver my groceries or even carry them, one by one, to the car?" "Of course I want a bag." "Oh, right then, thank you, sir." One by one, the girl at the till proceeded to ring up each item and place them into a plastic carry bag. The express checkout was now getting busy, and people stood in a long line waiting to be served. You could almost feel them psychologically urging those in front of them to get along so they could be attended to. The customer paid for his groceries and lifted the 2 plastic bags from the counter, but as he did, one of the bags split at the bottom and bottles of vinegar, sauce and oil tumbled out onto the floor. "I'm sick of these stupid bags of yours," the customer screamed. "I'm terribly sorry, sir." The checkout operator tried to make an apology for the weakness of the bags as she attempted to pick everything up from the floor. Maybe this time you could consider using 2 bags instead of 1 while I think of it. Give me a few spare just in case they break open on the way back to my car." The other customers in the queue were getting a little edgy. Eventually, with all the items now placed into the bags, the customer again lifted the bags from the counter. Smiling at the customer and hoping that the bags wouldn't break again, the girl at the checkout tried her best to be friendly and said, "Thank you, sir, and have a lovely day." "Well, it hasn't been a good start, thanks to your flimsy excuse for a carry bag. I'm going to write a letter of complaint." "Thank you, sir. Next, please." All the way back to his car, he muttered under his breath and eventually made his way from the supermarket to the car park. Everything now was an effort for the man. His attitude had now grown to a simmering point. By the time he got to his car, he was cursing the 2 plastic bags that he placed on the ground at his car, while he dove into his pocket looking for the car keys. In doing so, he managed to dislodge one of the plastic bags that was there. And the plastic bag was lifted into the air by a gust of wind that propelled the empty bag along the street. The irate man was now throwing abuse after the wind that had taken the bag. and the bag was free and wildly dancing on the morning breeze that blew it all the way down an alleyway where a vagrant sat, holding a bottle in one hand. The breeze dropped and the bag landed beside the tramp, who tried to reach out and grab the bag. And managing to do it, he put his bottle of vodka into the bag and got to his feet slowly, where he carefully walked along, carrying the bag in the hand along the alleyway to the street. Once onto the street, he slowly crossed the road at the traffic lights and shuffled along the sidewalk and through the main gate of the park, where he made his way to a park bench and sat down in the warmth of the early morning sunshine. In between vodka sips, he was joined by some people who seemed to know him, and they enjoyed the company of the passers-by and the bottle of vodka that got half empty, quarter empty, and now it was drained. They sat sharing a word or two, and with no one around, he stood up, took the empty bottle from the bag, but the bag was held by the gasp of the wind once again and blown up into the air. Across the park the bag was hurtled until it came to rest on a railing around a flower bed, where it fluttered for a few moments until it escaped between the railings, only to get trapped in the branches of a rose bush. The bag remained there until the man who maintained the garden in the park came along. When he spotted the bag, the gardener went to remove the plastic bag from the rose bush, but in his attempt to grab the bag, he lost his balance and he fell. As he landed on top of the rose bush, the fall enabled the plastic bag to blow away again in the wind. High into the sky the bag flew. It flapped and fell against the top of a telegraph pole, where it remained until an inquisitive blackbird appeared. The bird had a peck and then checked out what was inside the plastic bag. When the bird was satisfied there was nothing there worthwhile, it flew off into the air. But somehow the plastic bag wrapped itself around the bird's legs, and like a shackled prisoner the blackbird fell to the ground in an emergency landing. Finally the bird freed the bag from around its legs, and once again the bag was taken by the wind and tossed around in the air and along the ground. Now a playful pup spied the bag as it rolled along the sidewalk. The dog started to chase the plastic bag. In and out and around the bag went, past people on the footpath, chased by an overactive dog with nothing better to do. Without looking both ways, the dog ran on to the road right in front of a truck that swerved to miss the dog. The car that swerved to miss the truck narrowly missed a woman who was walking past with her baby in a pram. The car ploughed through a fence and hit a brick wall. People gathered around, and soon a police car and an ambulance arrived. Inside the car that had smashed through into the wall was a man with 2 bags of groceries scattered everywhere inside of the car. The man was semi-conscious when the paramedics put him into the stretcher. One of the eyewitnesses who had witnessed the incident spoke to the police, who was the shop assistant passing by. Just happened to notice all of the commotion. Unseen by those that were there at the scene of the accident was the plastic bag, which again was sent scurrying on the breeze towards the car. The plastic bag somehow made its way back in through the smashed windscreen of the car on the driver's side and came to rest on the back seat of the damaged car. Before the car was towed away, the police repacked all the scattered grocery items and placed the bags into the back of the ambulance with the casualty. The back doors of the ambulance were closed, and with flashing lights and the siren sounding, the ambulance drove away towards the hospital. Luckily, no one was killed, and later that evening, the checkout operator contacted the hospital to see how the man was doing. She even visited him one evening, which had made such an impact that he began to make a speedy recovery. After he was discharged from hospital, the man had a new attitude to life. Somehow a penny had dropped, thanks to the young girl's concern for him. Sometimes in life, it takes a near-death experience or a tragedy for people to see things in a different light. The end.